What is up, everyone? Bradley Jack Design here with another lovely week of Discord critiques. Got a lot to go through today, so we're going to jump right into it with some critiques from members of my Discord. So first up, we got TH Graphics with this Steph Curry graphic. A lot going on here, commemorating, you know, he's got the most three-pointers and counting. He's got a nice little stat up there I kind of like. So overall, let's take an initial look. I like the composition here with this border, nice white border with a lot of contrast in here. This is darker than this. I like how it frames everything in. You've got some dots as well on the side, which add a little bit of texture, which is nice. I see what you're trying to do up here. Oh, let me zoom in. With the three-pointers and counting with the ball in the middle, I probably would have just put it over here and had it all to one side, maybe. Personal preference, not a big deal. Overall, compositionally, we got a good hierarchy of small guys and big guys. You know, maybe you don't need these guys at all. It's up to you, personal preference. I think it's fine how it is. Let me see if I can make this a little bit brighter. There we go. All right, it's better. So what do we see here? So composition solid. I like the lighting you've got going on back here behind this Curry. You've got some lighting effects on here as well. So you've got it sort of a backlit from this area here. I think some of the spots seem a little too burnt. As in, like, it would be dark, but then there's some areas that are a little bit lighter. It just doesn't seem, it seems a little wonky. A little too, I mean, burnt is the only way I can say it. If you dodge and burn, it seems a little too burnt. Could be the coloring. I'm not certain. I do like the eyes, how they kind of shine on here. And I like the side edge here. I just feel like this doesn't match back here. And I don't know how else to describe it. It's the same thing going on here. Like, this is super dark. I don't think it would be quite that dark, but I do like, and I get what you're trying to do, is you're making this light this dark. I just feel like in this setting, since it's sunset, there would be a little bit more of just ambient light around. Like, this is fine. Like, this is, if this was how dark they, if this was how these were dark wise, whatever, then I think it might be a little bit better. Bridge in the back is good with the sunset. I think that's nice. This is a good test playing around, doing some lighting. All in all, it's pretty solid. The composition's great. Just a couple little things I would tweak, just detail wise, doing it a little bit more finitely, a little finer details when adding in the darkness and adding in the lightness. But overall, it's pretty solid. We've got this lovely Crusoe design by GWizard22. Now, I saw this and downloaded it, and I pulled it up in Photoshop, and I just went, I really don't have much to say about this. You got Alex Caruso in the sky. You got a little mask on the foot here, which is nice to show some depth. You've got some clouds here and some clouds here to show some depth. There's really not much I have to say about this. I mean, maybe you can see some of the artifacting in the back photo. You know, maybe just find a different photo of clouds. And then when you zoom in, there are little weird spots where the clip seems a little odd. Which, you know, it's real dark here, lighter here. Photo looks a little lower quality, but again, Discord could have killed that. I'm going to try and fix that in the future. But I mean, it's well executed. Maybe put a little bit of a color filter over it to make it a little bit more blue to match the background. But all in all, I mean, it's a nice, simple design. I would like it overall. We've got this by Dorian. New Orleans Saints all-time rushing leader, Mark Ingram. Now, I know some people in Discord have already given him some feedback on this, but I will give my 2 cents on what I would do. Composition solid. Text at the top, main content you want. Little thing here of just the logo, just to have on there. Now, we've talked about this, like Ingram, his name's a little hard to read down here. You know, the rushing, this is a little muddy in the legibility department. I think his face is a little too crispy for me with the overlay. That's, again, personal preference. I do like how you've got big, small. I can see a little bit of an outline on the signature. I don't know if that's intentional or not. I generally try to avoid that, but I'm just trying to look at it more. Maybe you did that on purpose. I'm not certain. I would take all this dust you have in the front and just like cut it in half. I like the dust. I think it's might be too much. But that could just be me. And then personally, I would just make New Orleans Saints the same length, or tighten this up, because I'm gonna make a stinger for this, and it's gonna be hilarious, and I'm gonna love it. But like, either tighten this up or just make it one line, because you could drive a truck through here, and then I need a truck that goes honk honk. I'm gonna do that. Look for that for an upcoming later video. Now, is this the Saints Stadium? Good, just good thing to use. I think some of the overlay effects are a little heavy, like I said. The dust, there's a lot of it. Tone it down a little bit. And I think some of this fog with how dark the background is, you already have this darkened up. I don't know, it just doesn't flow together with me. But that's just a personal preference, I think, on that. But composition, I think, is pretty solid. We've got I Am Sin on here. Chris Archer graphic for the Tampa Bay Rays. Really, really crispy, nice, high resolution photo you used of Chris Archer. So great. I love to see that. Let's take a look at the hair and how you clipped it out. I think all in all, it's pretty good. There might be little areas of blue in here every once in a while, but like really good. You got this nice big iStock Getty stock image thing going on here. Try and avoid that, you know, having this big watermark in here. You can make your own thing like this. Basically, I think you can just, I'm just gonna like, oops, I don't want to make a new layer. I want to make a new document. It's like a new document. Just take like take a really hard brush and just like make lines like this, you know. I don't know how they made that, but just make lines like this and then go to filter and go to liquify. And like in the liquify panel, you can just make your own and just kind of go like this. Oh, we want to not show the backdrop. But you know, you can make that yourself by just like doing that. You know, boom. Made it myself, no image. So do that. So then you don't have the stock image in there, but like you got big guy, little guy. I like the crown behind the front photo. I think that's great. Front photo is a little jagged in some areas, but he's wearing a fur sweater, so I guess that could be why that is. But look, you could tighten that up a little bit on the clip. I like the text down here, the Chris Archer text. I think it's a fun font. I like the texture you have on it. I think you did a good job doing that. I might nix just his name on the side here. Maybe you can think of something else, because you already have Chris Archer here. Maybe you put the team name here or something like that. But I do like how you have your tag hidden in here. I think that's a nice effect. And without any other information, I have no idea why you have this lion on here. Now, Tampa Bay fans might know why you have a lion on there. I don't. Yeah. And then this Chris Archer 22's looks a little bit wonky. It looks like you kind of might have added it in yourself, but it doesn't look like it flows to like the curve of what this is. But that's just something you can play around with. But overall, it's a good composition. I like how you've got layers of texture here with the gold in the background, with the background in general. And then you have the texture on front. So I think that's solid. So keep going with that. We've got this by JC Design, or Fillery as like some people like to call him. So Lamar Jackson jumping over Jair Alexander, A+ already. So this is a good, I saw this is a good composition. You've got, you did a good job of blending everything together. You know, you're really selling this as one scene together. Now, what I would have done on this was, I think, I'm trying to think of the right word. I think it's a little too, everything's a little too dark. There aren't any pure highlights. Like, let me just hit the curves layer here, and let me just hit on where like a highlight should be. You know, like there. Now that, of course, gets rid of all of the purple overlay you have on it, and maybe it's just an overlay effect that you have on it. But I think there should be some areas where maybe actually I only want this to affect the dark areas. I just think some areas could be a little bit lighter to really get pure highlights. You don't really have any pure white highlights on here. Because even though that this is, you know, a purple sun, a purple moon, there would be some highlights. I like how you got this stuff coming up here. I think this is solid. See, when you have this so dark, it doesn't bother me that the shadow is so dark because the whole composition's dark. You've got some stuff in the front here, which is good. You're adding depth with that. You clearly show a progression of this is in front of this, which is in front of this, which has a raven on it, which its eye is kind of glowing, and then there's some stuff going on in the background with the cityscape, and then the moon. I just think the purple moon, I'm not a terrible fan of, just because the moon isn't actually purple, but it's a good lighting, definitely a good lighting exercise, and you've got some good lighting on here. I don't really have a lot to say about the lighting on here. You probably could have had some finer details, but I could have finer detail in my work, so I think it's pretty solid. This is by Brennan. We've got this Jose Ramirez design. Right away, I can just tell that the image seems a little pixelated. I can see the pixels from here. Just try and use high resolution imagery. You can go to advanced Google image search and find higher resolution photos. I like the composition. It reminds me of something I made in my 365. The only thing I would say is, like, he's stepping into it right here. So, like, make sure the sea is not, you know, if this is supposed to be behind him, how can he be stepping on it is really what I would say in, like, a realistic scenario. You know, this light at the top's nice, and I like how you have this compositionally, him in front of it, in front of this. That's good. And you've got the dirt down here, which is a solid start. You know, maybe you can add some more stuff here, maybe some text here to balance out left side, right side. You know, text right here would be a nice spot to do it. But that's a couple things I would probably tweak on this other than the imagery. But it's a good, to me, this seems like a good start to a graphic, and it's not completely finished. But I like where it's going. We've got this by Painkiller. Checkmark. Payne Miller Checkmark. So this is I forget her name. So we got a nice wrestling graphic here. Couple things I see right off the bat. So, like, I don't think this is her hair, but, like, it looks like this is just where you hit with, like, a brush, but it could be her hair. You know, I'm just looking at some things in the clip. Like, initially when I saw this, I didn't see these two background photos. Maybe just get rid of them. But I do like the effect on the outside and how it matches the color going in here. I think there's some spots that are a little foggy, a little too foggy. The fog is good. I think that might just be a little too foggy. You know, it just gets a little muddy over here and a little muddy up here. Just can't see through it. It's like I'm looking through a cataract. But I do like how you have the text blending in with this. For me, like, from an information standpoint, if you made this for a client, I feel like there might need to be a little bit more information, but maybe not. I don't know. Yes, no? Like, for me, it's, if you get rid of these two, I don't know where to, like, these are distracting me from looking at the main photo. So if you get rid of these, then you have this actual open space. You know, having this text go to the side is good. Maybe you have it go straight down, but to the sides is more fun. So I think I know why you had it there. I think the border might be too thick on this, but, you know, it depends on what you're doing. It's all about context, and I've said that before. But I do like how you have it framed in with this, with the same color. I think that's pretty nice. Maybe tone. I want you to tone down this glow, but the whole thing is about glowing, so maybe not. Yep, that is what I'm going to say. We've got this Miro Heiskanen design by Bradley Seaton. Right off the bat, you've got this white border. Now, I don't know if that's just from you uploading or exporting. You know, just get rid of this white border. You don't need it. Automatic dub, because you've got this blurred logo in the front. I'd probably have it come off the side, as if it's supposed to be in the front. You know, if it's closer to you, it's off the edge. So it's off the, if you're looking through a camera viewfinder, it's off the edge, where this one's still in view. If I have a signature like this in view, I'd probably just make it in focus. But I do like how you have the signature on there. Let's see what we got going up here. I like this texture you've got going on in the background. Your logo looks super jagged, so I would try and find a SVG file of their logo. So when you clip it out, you don't have to clip it out. You just have a vector logo that you can turn white, or you can give it a stroke, and then it won't look like it's got all these jagged lines. I like what you've started to do with the information up here, but it's all squished together. Let some of it breathe out. You know, this is fine with his name. You know, it's a little tight right here. You know, we don't want it to have it so a truck can drive through it, but you want to be able to make sure a bike can fit through it. And right now, only an ant can fit through that. Maybe just, and honestly, just a teeny bit more. But then all this stuff is all really tight together. I would just spread it out with some kerning and tracking and let it breathe a little bit more. But composition, I like the composition. I like what we have going on here. Maybe this green is a little tighter on this, so some of this white comes over here. Otherwise, I want it to be like dead center and have the green over here and be left and right. But you've got big guy, little guy. I think compositionally that works really well. I would scoot this little skate up just a little bit. You know, maybe his head's here and then he comes down, just because you'd have a little bit more breathing room on there. But that's only a couple things. Composition solid, just a couple of things. Type finding resources that are a little higher quality. We got this by Universe Graphics. This I don't know what your intent was behind this, but this definitely has some Boss Logic vibes to it, which I'm sure you would love to hear. You've got some nice stuff in the front. You've got some lighting effects on it that I think work really well, with this emitting the electricity and the gold. I can't decide if I'm happy that it fades from the gold or if I want this to be like only his arm is gold. I think it's fine how it is, so I think that's good. So you've got some rain going on too that I didn't even see, which is good. I honestly think I would nix these guys in the back and just have this and really make this like an artistic thing where it's just him. And if you're gonna make his eyes white, I would probably give this like just a little bit more of a glow, like really soft, you know, like really soft brush at like 20% just on there, so it looks like his eyes are glowing a little bit more. But other than that, I mean, this is pretty quality. I think this is one of the better designs this week, so definitely keep it up. Dan is your name. We got Robbie Wolf here with this Francisco Lindor graphic. Compositionally, pretty solid. A couple things I would tweak though, like, so this side piece area thing we've got going on here seems a little blurry. I don't know if it's supposed to be like an edge burning or what. It just seems a little low resolution to me, as does this back photo of Frankie. Everything composition, everything from a color standpoint, it's really bright. There's not a lot of dark, so there's not a lot of contrast. Everything's really light and bright, so things sort of bleed into each other. And you're covering up Frankie's face. Like, you've got all the information right here. I think if you had this Frankie over here looking in, and then you have him looking in, he'll look at this guy, and then you've got him throwing the ball. There's two balls though, which is confusing. I would have masked this one out. I don't know if that's an oversight or what, but this is great. Having this ball in front gives more depth back here going on. You've got him grounded well because it's the same image, so that's good. Skyline in the background's good, and the light source up here is fine, but everything's just super bright. That's what I would try and tweak with this. And then play around a little bit with the text a little bit more. Everything's the same size. Have some contrast with this. You know, have 112 be one size, and then have, you know, Francisco real small, and then have Lindor be bigger or something like that. Or 12 is huge, and then Francisco Lindor's on top of that. Just play around with size contrast as well as color contrast with what you're doing on the text. And I think that's what you can improve on. Got this from the NFL cast. This is Dak Prescott design, the chosen one. Got a lot of Dak heads going on here. I don't know exactly where to look, so I might take away one of these Daks and play around with the composition so it's a little bit more clear. To me, it looks like there's just like a generic image of a stadium in the background. Maybe try and find just an indoor photo of AT&T Stadium, if that's what they still call it, where the Cowboys play. I do like this effect you're trying to achieve on the edge, where you sort of have this edge blur that's going on, but you can't read the chosen one at all when you do that. If you do that, make sure your text layers are either on top or don't have the effect hit the chosen one. And then for me personally, I think this, I like that you're trying some 3D stuff, but this looks like super basic and a starting point. So like this would be a starting point for someone to then add effects and shadows and lights and stuff to it. Like if Ethan J were to make something, this is what his starting text would look like out when he exports it from After Effects, but then he does all this cool effects inside Photoshop as well. When it comes to these guys, I mean, you just have a lot of heads going around. So like, hold on, I want to brush. Why are you, what do you want? I don't know, I hit something and everything's broken now. New layer, brush. See that? I broke it. So compositionally, like big guy in the back is fine, but then maybe this guy's head's right here and then Dak's a little lower, so there's some sort of movement to it. Right now it's just like this big circle you just keep looping around in, and then you don't even look down here. So that's something that I would tweak. And again, like 3 is like this big power number, you know, 3, it's just like this natural number that is nice. So like having 3 things is good, 4 may be a little bit too many. I'm gonna see if I can get this to work. Okay, so I just broke that file, so that's fine. So this is by Edward, 16 Hockey Nerd Fan. This Jonathan Taylor graphic. I mean, right away, compositionally, you've got a big guy and a little guy, which is good, but everything just seems sort of out of funk. So like, you've got the logo butting up against the side here. For some reason, it could be to make room for him going off to the side. Just make it smaller so it's not butting up against the edges. Like I'm screaming for this to be dead center, and then he comes off of it and is running. You know, that's what I personally would have started with. Or if he's here, you know, I'm dying for him to be over here a little bit more to off center some of the balance from left to right. You also have your text down here. Slam down at the bottom. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I would give it some breathing room. That's generally a personal thing I like to do. And then if you do have it butt up though, like it doesn't butt up here. So have it butt up on both sides. And then it looks like it might be a little bit more intentional. You know, I like what you're trying to do here with some of the things. Some of the photos are a little bit too denoised with the noise cancellation. And they're a little too smooth and waxy for my thoughts. But I do like this sort of effect you're having where he's kind of breaking through, I don't know, a portal behind him where the Colts Stadium is. But there's some compositional things. Like I would have, you know, the horseshoe in the middle, then him here coming out, and then this guy over here with some breathing room all around it, and then the text somewhere. Maybe the text is at the top and you move everything down or something like that. I don't know, just a couple compositional things. Just seems like some puzzle pieces are out of place. We've got this by Tanner's Work. Right there, logo, Tanner. So we got Kamaru Usman, who I did a graphic of a couple weeks ago. Composition's pretty solid. Big guy, little guy here. I don't know if I'm in love with, like, he's just like floating. Like, what's going on? He's just floating down here. Because you have this blur going on, which is nice because you really focus here on the piece. Because you blur out the rest of his body, which is solid. But then I think you need something for him to be standing on. Just because he's floating in the air. Like we did with the text here. I probably would have moved welterweight champion right here. I do kind of like how it's down there, though. So then I don't know, maybe do something different with the text. This is pretty nice in the background to have because you just kind of look at it every once in a while, but your focus is right here because that's where all of the images are. You got some nice overlays because they're not too distracting. Nice little light leaks because they're not too distracting. And then, as I have said before, you've got the logos locked up in the corners, which is pretty nice. I think the editing on the photos is pretty good. If I don't say it I probably like it. So that's also something to keep in mind with these. If I don't say something, I probably liked it and thought it was good. But yeah, you know, maybe play around with the text a little bit with this. I like how this is down here because you've got small text, but it just seems disconnected from the rest of the text. And then really just have him stand on something. And I think that might be a little bit better. We've got this by CT Design, Pierre Gasly. You know, pretty solid composition. Looking at some things. Okay. So some things that are just confusing to me. Like, what is this? Is this just the back of his helmet? Or is he holding a helmet? I don't know. I would probably get rid of this. Just because you've got then 1, 2, 3. Like I mentioned, threes. 1, 2, 3. Car's solid. I probably personally would put it dead center. It's a little bit to the left, but who cares? Actually, you have this on there, which offsets it a little bit better, so that's fine. I think I get why you did that. I like this texture you've got going in the background with the eyes. I think that's pretty good. His names are the Scuderia Alpha, whatever this is supposed to say, AlphaTauri, Scuderia Toro Rosso. Kind of hard to read. And they're not on the same line. I would have at least lined them up and then been like, I don't care. You might be like, I don't care if you can read it or not. It's just there for effects, so that's cool. I think some of the effects on him are a little too crispy. He just looks a little too overdone. Maybe lightening up just a little bit. But it all looks like it flows together. And I like, this is sort of a standard composition for some F1 or racing graphics, so I think that's nice. I think this is a little heavy, just this like film thing going down. I don't think you need this. All the other texture is pretty nice. And it's nice on the side here. I think it's just a little distracting right there. Like, I think I like it when I covered over it. And that would just give your logos up here a little bit more breathing room. And then if you're going to center something, really center it. Because, like, this is not in the center. This needs to be a little bit over. That's, like, you know, nitpicking stuff. Overall, it's pretty solid, though. Got this by Swish Life Productions. It's Jonathan Taylor graphic. You know, overall, I like the composition. You know, I have been saying threes. You know, he's got 4 things here, but these are all the same size and they command the same amount of attention. So to me, it's really one thing, or it's 3 things and then 1 at the bottom. So that doesn't bug me too much. I like the composition. I personally just don't like this, just this effect of putting text on something and setting it to like divide or exclusion. It's just not my cup of tea. You know, it might just have a gradient map on it, but I don't know. It's just not for me. The 2 and 8 might be a little bit too disconnected for being 28. And I've seen these sort of stock images before. But I mean, that's me nitpicking. This is cool where he's yelling and like the cult symbol's coming out like a smoke ring. I think that's cool. I think some of the textures in the back are a little dark. I think the city's good. I think just like this is a little dark because you can't tell. There's no definition to it. It's just super dark. Same thing with the horse. It's just like a really dark outline of the horse. The city's good though, and the texture in the back is actually solid. I think that's nice. You've got him running here, which is good. Personally, I probably would have made his skin less Oompa Loompa-ly, if that's a word. Like his skin is super red, super orange. I would have toned it down and brought it back down to earth a little bit more. Especially when you have his eyes so painted white and blue. This is an Oompa Loompa plane for the Colts. But overall, I mean, the editing on the photos is good. I think his skin is just way too red. But if you did it on purpose, you did it on purpose, and that's what you wanted to do. So who am I to tell you what to do? It just comes down to personal preference after that. But overall, pretty solid. We've got this by Devious. As you can see, Devious down here at the bottom. Steph Curry design. You know, I'm just like, compositionally, I think just some pieces need to be put into place a little bit neater. But again, these are all my personal preferences too. Like, I would have Curry down, dead center, have this dead center, because then you can create some sort of symmetry or asymmetry with this Curry in the center. I do like some of these lighting effects off of it. But like, right here it says info, and this says primary, and this says, you know, D scanner or something like that. Change this to be like pertinent info on Steph Curry. Make it say, you know, name Steph Curry or something like that. Just so it's not so just default information. And then compositionally, like, I don't know where I'm supposed to look, because you've got this big guy that you're supposed to look at, but then you have him doing a layup in front of him. And then the guy in the back is bigger than this guy doing the layup. So I think just size contrast might work in your favor a little bit. Maybe you just have one image on here. I think right now the three of them is a little too heavy. I do like the smoke hitting this Curry. I think this looks really nice with the texture there. And you've got the skull in the background, which kind of plays into this. But then you have like these leaves here that I don't understand. There's just like questions I have and I don't understand. Now it could be something that needs to be explained to me, but if I'm a viewer looking at this from afar, I have no idea why that's there. I do like some of the glowing effects you've got going on in the logo in the background coming off as well, but just compositionally, I don't know where my eye is supposed to look with these three guys on here. Do some size contrast, take some out, leave one in there. Depends on what you want with the design. We've got this by Trazo King, Arturo Vidal. Pretty solid sort of wallpaper. Nice little change as a wallpaper. Let's zoom in a little bit on this. So I like this effect you've got going on with the text. You know, you've got text contrast with his first name, last name. You've got pertinent information here about what's going on. Then you've got, you know, the Champions League over here, and then your design name down here. I would probably, like, these are all the same size. Like, this looks nice. I would probably make these just the logos, maybe just a little bit smaller. Or just bump them up a little bit from this. But, like, this is nice. This is nice here with the text. And then down here, I would probably make Champions League bigger to offset make it the same size optically as that. And then just put your sticker somewhere down here. So it's not in the design here. Now, if you crop this, that could be why you have it there. Which is perfectly fine then. Maybe make it a little bit smaller. Never make you... I don't like it when people have their logo and stuff on there too distracting or taking up too much space that pulls away from the design. For me, I would have just bumped his chin up above the letters. Because right now, it's like he's talking behind a fence. You can't hear him yelling. He's Wilson in Home Improvement. But the effects are nice with the lighting behind him. Maybe a little bit of a weird clipping area there. I don't really know. But you've got him grounded in the stadium pretty well. The shadows are pretty decent up here. I probably would have darkened up his shoes here if you have this shadow on here. Because his shoes wouldn't be that bright if they're casting a shadow. But other than that, it's pretty solid composition. I don't really have many other things to say about it. We've got this by Unknown Glory. It's LeBron James design. Looks like you took this whole thing and then just put like a huge displacement map on it or something. And I like it in some areas. Like, I think it's effective down here. And down here. Sorry, and down here. But when someone looks at a photo of LeBron, they're going to want this to be in focus. It's like looking at a blurry photo. It just bugs you in the eye. Like, if this isn't crystal clear and along the lines of what I think it's supposed to look like, it's going to bug me. I like it as the background, and I like the composition you've got going on here. You've got this little cartoony crown on there. I probably would have tried to find a more realistic crown. I think it's probably just the gems on it. I don't know. Looks like Mario would have worn it or given it to Princess Peach. But I like the experimenting you've got going on with these displacement maps. I think you just need to tone it down in certain areas that are the focal point. Because I think this is the focal point. Maybe move LeBron over here a little bit just so his full head is out here. And then maybe you can add a little King LeBron or text down here or something like that. I don't know why it's blue instead of purple. I probably would have think this should be purple if it's the Lakers. Unless they were wearing blue jerseys, then I think it's fine. But those are just a couple things I would tweak with it. I like the experimenting with that a lot, actually. And then we've got this Nikola Jokic design by Beezer. Composition's pretty decent. Big guy, little guy going on here. You know, he's jumping, but he looks like he's not jumping because he's like half a foot off the ground based on the shadow. I would have probably moved him up so it looks like he's even more in the air. kept the shadow there, so it actually looks like he's impressively jumping. Because right now it looks like he jumped half an inch off the air, and it's not impressive at all. Now he is shooting a shot, and I get that. I like how you incorporated these Joker cards. I probably would have made one of these a little blurrier to add more depth. You do have it in front of Jokic here, which is good. And this one's behind it. But to create more depth of field, make one of them blurry. Same thing with these clouds. Like, the clouds are fine. Maybe put a big one up here that's blurry, so it's adding more depth. Get rid of whatever halo you have on here. Like this halo effect around and this halo you've got on here. It's too broad of a blur. It's too broad of an outer glow. I would get rid of it, just because I don't think it adds anything to your design. And then figure out, you've got 2 dots down here in like a box, but like nothing up here. You've got like a ripped paper sort of thing. Just like a lot of random things that are on here. Try and pick 1 or 2 and use them in more spots. Size, contrast, different colors, stuff like that. And then just fix a little bit of the clipping. I can see this fringe around him on this one. But keep playing around with designing and doing stuff like this. And then last one we've got here, I gotta go back. This is Narrow Designs. DeMar DeRozan design. I think it's pretty cool. It's becoming apparent to me Narrow Designs has a very specific style of how he likes to do things, and it looks like this. And I'm for it. It's weird. It's very symmetrical, which I like. It's just something, you know, I like to see. Let's find some stuff we don't like about it, because I'm saying good things. Let's see, bad things. I think there's a little bit of a fringe right here on this bowl. You know, that's me hilariously nitpicking because I like this design, you know. I might move DeMar down a little bit and make him just a little bit bigger so there's more size contrast here. I'd probably lower these guys a little bit so they're down here, but like, they're all the same size. You have text going in between them. You know, that's interesting. I think some of the effects might be a little too crispy on him. Maybe tone them back a little bit, but that's like your general style that you have. You know, you've got this effect on front, which is good. And you've got a vignette around the bottom here that pulls you back into the top of the composition. I kind of like that. I mean, the background photos, I mean, these could be, you know, I don't know, a little more high resolution. They look a little pixelated to me. But, you know, like, find better assets. I don't know. You know, it's pretty solid. I don't know if I like that you like blurred all of their feet and like everything's just blurry right here for no reason. You know, what would it look like if 2 of them were blurry and this one was in the front, but then they're floating, but you blurred them so you can't tell that they're floating maybe. You know, maybe have them have an actual floor. Maybe there's a pillar you find and they're on the pillar. Maybe that's something I would have done here. There, we have a little bit of a critique on that. But again, like for me, this doesn't seem like something that's like not every client is going to want you to do a project like this. This is going to be like a one-off every once in a blue moon that you would do probably. Unless you put some stats on here or something and they played someone that had to do with all of these Corinthian columns and whatnot. But overall pretty solid. And that does it. So those are all of the critiques for this week. Thank you guys for tuning in to this video. Again, I do these critiques every week. Tuesday to Tuesday, you can submit in my Discord. The link is in the bio below. I'm getting more and more of these. I hope you guys enjoy these critiques. Again, if you want to join the Discord, then the link below. I do these weekly for you. I will see you guys Tuesday for the next design live. Got to figure out and nail down exactly what I'm going to do for that. But you guys have a lovely rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time.